Exactly 222 days since the federal government placed a ban on social networking site Twitter, the Nigerian government have succumbed to the demands of its citizens. The government suspended the social media firm June 2021 after it deleted a tweet by President Muhammadu Buhari referring to the Nigerian civil war and threatening treating those misbehaving today. Now, in the language they will understand. Well, according to NetBlocks, a watchdog organization that monitors cybersecurity and the governance of the internet, the Nigerian economy lost about 546.5 billion naira to the ban, amounting to 5,328 hours in 222 days before ending the ban. The Nigerian government had insisted that Twitter registers in Nigeria, appoint designated country representatives, comply with tax obligations in Nigeria, enroll Nigeria in its portal for direct communications between government officials and Twitter to manage prohibited content that violates Twitter community rules and act with a respectful acknowledgement of Nigerian laws. Well, let's now discuss the impact of the ban on the digital economy, fintech space, and of course, small businesses. Joining me to look at this is a startup coach, Mr. Idowu Akinde. Good afternoon, Mr. Akinde, and it's good to see you this Friday.
Hi, Tony. Good afternoon. How are you today?
Very well. Well, finally, Twitter is back. I would like to ask you first, what do you feel? What's your reaction to this after 222 days before we go to some of the issues that led to government lifting this ban? Let's first look at what you think had happened between yesterday, midnight, and today. How would you rate the reaction online?
Oh, well, personally, to be honest, indifferent, okay? Going further. So for me, personally, I feel indifferent, okay? The ban could have lasted for another 6 months, it wouldn't have affected me. Well, it has affected me, in terms of my usage of the app, Twitter. But, like everybody else, like millions of other Nigerians, we found a way around. So, technically speaking, I don't know if anybody has felt, okay? And that is what I'm concerned about. I don't think it's a plus or a laurel or an achievement, right, for the government if such a ban is so widespread and people are indifferent about it. So that's my answer to that question.
Let's now look at the requests from our government. Yes, they've met these demands, but let's stay with them one after the other. And one is the tax locally and cooperating with the Nigerian government to regulate content and harmful tweets. How does this come to you?
So, there's been two sides to this Twitter debacle, situation. There's been two sides. There's the national sovereignty side, which is hard to argue against, right? I've been in conversations with personal friends, offline, off Twitter, off the media, where we've had personal conversations, and people have taken strong positions explaining that, hey, there was a significant national security threat, okay, coming from certain parties, and they were actively using Twitter to promote these negative agendas. Okay. Now, there is no sitting government around the world that will notice or observe that one of their that a certain person or group of persons is using any tool, right, to foment disunity or chaos or violence in their country and will not take action. So, from that perspective, it does make sense, right? The government is responsible for ultimately for the security of all Nigerians as well as national sovereignty of the territory of Nigeria. So it does make sense that they should take action. Okay? However, two things. One, is this the right action? I may not be 100% aligned. Number two, the manner of approach, could it have been more collaborative, more stakeholder involved, more stakeholder engagement? I definitely think so, right? Because I think that I think that it is suboptimal, to take such an action that will affect literally millions of people. Most of them young people who are 70% of the population of Nigeria, and many of them running their businesses through this platform. So those are my thoughts.
Now let's move on with the monetary calculation. Now I'm interested in that. I'm a business journalist, and I'm interested in when you see what the figures are saying. 546.5 billion. This is from NetBlocks, and that's after 222 days. What do you make of this figure, and what will be the direct effect on those that run their businesses via this platform? What do you think would have happened to them in the 222 days?
Well, you see, the irony, hey, and I hope I'm not being unnecessarily negative, right? But the irony is that when you mention that large figure of 500 and something billion dollars, okay, the irony is that it is not a private individual that has lost that money. That is money that has been lost to the economy. So it therefore makes any thinking person, right, question I don't want to use the word sincerity, more like the practicality of the words or the narrative, right, that are coming out of from many government officials about boosting the local economy. If there is a certain action that same government is taking that is costing the same economy that you want to boost 500 and something, 500, upwards of 500 billion, in a naira or dollar. Whatever that is, it is significant. It is not a number that you brush aside. 220 days of a downtime on any type of tool is not something you brush aside, and definitely not anything in excess of $500 billion. So the irony is that it is it's not money that would have gone directly into government coffers, into the government wallet or the government purse, but it's money that would have passed through the economy that the government is responsible for stimulating and administering. So definitely, ultimately, the government is a victim, quote unquote, of its own action, if I may use that term. So that's what I think. So that's on the government side. On the private side, on the private individual side, it definitely does. Well, yes. In terms of the friction, right, with which people have been accessing Twitter. So all through the while that the ban was in effect, the implication was that anybody that wanted to go to Twitter would have to go through a VPN. Typically, people who use VPNs typically do not use them 24 hours. They only use them at specific times. So, for instance, I have had a VPN that I use for years. I probably have never used it or use it very, very, very sparsely. But during this time of the Twitter ban, I found myself using it more frequently because I may just want to post one or two things on Twitter, but then, oh my God, I have to find an alternative. What that has meant is that there's been an introduction of an indirect obstacle to preventing the use of Twitter, okay, by the populace. Now that the ban has been lifted, hopefully we can see that barrier, that obstacle being removed or lowered, and we can see more business activity happening on Twitter. I hope that people have not lost faith or confidence and moved on to other channels, because 222 days, there is no business that waits for 222 days and not find an alternative. That's what I think.
At this time, where many would say that Nigeria should, give more room to expand or to grow the ICT or the tech space Some would say, why should you even tax the digital economy? And some would ask that question. What signal do you think this gives to investors or business people that might want to come into the country when we send signals like this one? Do you think it could affect investments in any form, particularly now that we need a lot of foreign investments in our country? You agree with me?
Thank you so much, Sulu. That's a very, 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 very important topic. That's a topic that I'm very, very, very passionate about, okay? Which is the growth of the local digital economy. So, in fact, I have mentioned this many times in the past, online and offline, on media like this and in private conversations, that the far implication, the far consequence of actions like this Twitter ban is that they communicate the wrong signals. Okay? So for all of the signals that the Twitter ban itself has communicated, this new set of conditions also communicates a certain set of assumptions, positions that the local digital economy is an asset that should be grown rather than an asset that should be exploited like the government is currently doing. So if, for instance, I were a minister for a day or president for a day, I would have a meeting, right, with whomever is in charge of that Twitter ban, Minister for Information, Minister for ICT, call a panel and discuss with them about how to immediately reverse, this so-called taxation of the digital economy. My position is that the digital economy in Nigeria has not grown yet to the level where we should start to extract value from it. It is still in incubation stage. We still need to provide so much in terms of resources, so much in terms of government intervention, so much in terms of tax relief and tax rebates and tax discounts. This is not the time to start tax entities in this space. It's not. I don't agree that it's time to start the local digital economy, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, whether it's any other entity, local, foreign. I don't think so. So that's my position. Thank you.
Right, almost finally, before I let you go, I'm thinking about tech startups, tech ventures, and of course, investors' readiness to support all of this. What are you thinking in 2022? Are we seeing more of this popping up all around the country?
Okay, thank you so much for that again. It sounds coincidental, but hey, perhaps it's provident. I recently released an article on Medium where I highlighted my plans for the year, and essentially, in summary, what my singular mission for the year 2022 is to raise the cognitive sophistication or cognitive maturity of the average African founder that's launching a startup business to the level where, first of all, the investor that pumped in $5 billion into Africa in 2021 will feel more justified and more confident to bring more in the future. That's first. And secondly, they will not change their mind about those investment commitments because they will have a wider pool of attractive investment options on the African continent. So this comes from my observation that the way our founders are thinking about startups needs a lot of help. A lot of local founders think about startup funding as their escape from poverty. They think of their startup funding or raising investment for their funds as the final way to blow hammer or finally fund a lifestyle. Okay? Unfortunately, these are not the reasons to raise funds. So, this is the work that I'm doing essentially to help reconfigure and recalibrate the minds of startups across Nigeria, Kigali, Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, Ghana, Tunisia, South Africa, all over the continent, all of the startups that have been working. Hopefully we can raise the profile and we can get even more than $5 billion that we got in 2021 in 2022. And finally, the African startup ecosystem will take flight, take off, hopefully.
Wrapping up now, maybe 1-2 minutes. Let's now look at the sector now in its entirety. The ICT space is one of the sectors that we intend to push as we get into the AFCFTA. Many is talking about what Nigeria has to offer in that space. What's your overall projection for the sector this year? Considering Omicron and all of the challenges we faced, seems there will still be some more working from home.
Okay, so I'm just gonna echo what I said. I think it's been about 1.5 years or 2 years ago on this same channel in one of the previous interviews that COVID is actually a blessing in disguise, especially for African and African economy specifically and emerging markets broadly. The reason why I say that is I remember before COVID, I remember that I personally suggested and pushed and advocated to many previous employers in the same Lagos, Nigeria, to have a more open position or adopt a more open position and stand towards things like working from home. So I've worked in many companies where either I was a software programmer, a developer myself, or I was leading teams of developers, and I would speak to management and say, dear management, there is a certain mindset that developers have. Give them the flexibility to come to the office only once or twice every week. As long as they're getting the job done, they're meeting their KPIs, they're meeting their deliverables. It doesn't matter where they work. Many of them do not like to spend 3 hours in traffic to and from on Third Mainland Bridge. Please give them 2 or more days in the week to work from home. Who knew that the pandemic was coming? Suddenly the pandemic has come, and all of these companies, 100% of them have now adopted work from home. Guess what? What I have done is that many companies have a leaner profile nowadays. They're not paying so much on rent. Many of them have to be reduced rent or reinstated entirely. They're not paying so much on consumables, office consumables, and all those things, and all those things. That's on the business side. On the developer side, many of the developers are more productive because they now have they are redoing those 6 hours, or in some good cases, those 4 hours that they usually used to spend in traffic commuting to and from the office. What that has done is that many of them, and this is the final point, many of the local developers who are skilled and who know their onions have taken assessment tests online, and they have secured jobs that are paying them for it. Trust me, there is a growing number and population of local developers right now that the pandemic, that by virtue of the pandemic, have exposed themselves to foreign employers, and they are living in Lagos. They are not even bothered about anything like this. They don't even care. They don't even want to relocate. But what they are doing is that they are in Lagos. They are doing 2 jobs. They are doing the Lagos job and they are doing the foreign job, and they are earning for it. Right? They are having the time of their life. In fact, sometimes I feel jealous. I wish I could go back to programming. I wish I had the mental space to create the time and go back to programming. But hey, life is life, right? But this is my position. So I'm very, very optimistic about yes, I know that the pandemic has caused so many discomforts and inconveniences to many people who have either fallen sick or lost loved ones. But on a macro level, on a high level, the pandemic is a unique opportunity to be a boom. If hypothetically, if I had the audience of the federal government or any of the state government, I would be advising them to create opportunities to plug into this trend. Is it possible to create work from home centers, right? Or even, stimulate and enable this movement? Is it possible to skill up people in their thousands? Imagine skilling up 10,000 youth, and by virtue of the fact that you are a government, reaching out to foreign governments and telling them, look, we have an army of 10,000 front-end, back-end, and full-stack developers. Tell your companies to connect to our companies, to us, to Lagos State government, to do all of this. I don't want to take all the time. I'm sure you get the point.
All right, there. I must thank you so much, Startup Coach, Mr. Idowu Akinde. Thank you so much, and do enjoy the rest of your day, and of course, enjoy your weekend.